everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're really going to get into it. As you can see, I have my computer out and we're going to talk about continuing education. So get your pen and paper out. There will be lots to take notes of, and I'm just going to try to breeze through it. I have lunch with a client in approximately 13 minutes, and that's plenty of time to film a video, so let's do it. So from my personal experience, I got licensed in Florida at first, and then I transferred my license to Georgia. So you will have to take your post-licensing course in Florida. I'm just speaking from my specific scenario. And I know that a few of y'all are actually in that specific scenario based on the comments that I've gotten. I'm just realizing I don't have my watch on. Sorry, distracting. Okay, so you have to do your post course in Florida, which is a 45-hour course before you transfer it to Georgia, which most of you know, and that is a 45-hour course. Then you start on your continuing education in Florida, and I'm just gonna focus on Florida now, then move to Georgia, and then I'll show you kind of how the continuing education can overlap in some ways. So after your 45-hour post-licensing course, then you dive into continuing education. For Florida, that is 14 hours every 2 years. And how those hours break down is you're gonna have 8 hours of specialty continuing education. And that's what they call it online. That is basically any course you wanna take. You can scroll through a bunch of them, pick the ones that are most useful to you. You know, if you're in commercial, then you might want to do ones that are commercial real estate. So you get a little bit of freedom with those 8 hours. Then you have 3 hours of Florida law, and then you have 3 hours of ethics and business practice. So again, that's every 2 years. And for those of y'all that don't know, once you've taken your post course, you will never have to take that again unless your license goes null and void for whatever reason. So we're gonna hop over to Georgia. For Georgia, it's every 4 years you have to complete 36 hours. And let me rewind just a little bit. You will have to take your post course in Georgia as well. So your Georgia post course is within the year of getting your license, and it's a 25-hour course. Remember, Florida's was 45 hours, so it's just different. But you'll take your post-licensing course, then you'll go into continuing education for Georgia. So it is required that you have 36 hours every 4 years, and the one requirement is that you must have 3 hours of Georgia law. So remember, in Florida, it kind of broke down into these categories. The one requirement for Georgia is 3 hours of Georgia law. I will post a screenshot and I'll link it down below where you can find approved real estate schools to take this for Georgia. For Florida, I have just done Bob Hogue, like I've mentioned in the past. It really doesn't matter what school you go to, as long as it's approved, I think you're set. So this is where it gets a little tricky, because you have these Florida hours and you have these Georgia hours. How does that intermingle? Let me tell you. So you can use your Florida CE, continuing education hours, and transfer those to your Georgia. How you do that is once you've completed the course, you can either upload the certification of completion, like if Georgia is not updating your profile, but elsewise, I'm under the impression that it updates immediately because you hold those 2 licenses. I don't think that made a lot of sense, but we're just gonna continue going. So, like I mentioned, in your post course for Georgia, you can actually take 9 of those hours and contribute it to your continuing education for the first year, which only makes sense because assuming you're only taking the post course once, then you know, it only counts that one time. So you can take 9 hours out of those 25 hours and count it towards continuing education. Then you can take your Florida continuing education, which is 14 hours, and also contribute it to your Georgia. Remember though, you still have to have those 3 hours of Georgia law. Then, however that sorts itself out, whatever hours you're left with, let's just say you're left with 6 hours after you've kind of canceled and some post-course hours have taken over in Florida, then you have your elective hours. And you can take those wherever with whatever school. I will also post either a screenshot or the link of some of those elective hours, and that's what I was saying with Florida, is that once you've done your requirements and you have specialty continuing education, and then with Georgia you have elective hours, that's where you get to pick and choose, oh, what course is beneficial to me, what should I take next? And that's also something that I want to mention, is none of this is free for the most part. So when you are planning on joining a brokerage, I would highly recommend you ask them what they do for continuing education. Personally, with Ansley, they provide us with classes for continuing education for free, which is super helpful, because if I just go in, let's say once a month, and I sit down and I'm with my coworkers and I just knock out 3 hours, just build it into my schedule, that makes it extremely doable. And for the most part, when we do it, we're bringing in attorneys that we are affiliated with, and we're learning hot topics, and it's just a super easy way to just get that check, just get it done, and you're not left scrambling with a month saying, oh my gosh, I have 36 hours I have to complete, or whatever that time frame would be. So I would definitely suggest asking your brokerage, do they provide you with free continuing education, because that is a plus. Next week or the week after, I will be talking about the cost of getting your real estate license. So I will include that with continuing education if you choose to do it online and pay. I know I have written here some of the classes are $20, you can get a bundle. Obviously it depends what school you go with and la da 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 da. But my next video will be on the cost of all things real estate and what I have experienced. So thanks for listening.